Okay. Okay, so it should be over there now. Next white pause. That. Okay, well, I suppose we can get started. And I'll try to the countdown going. We can just explain the game a little bit right after that. As I can say right away, I'm running on FDS for this game on a PS2, which can cause cutscenes to crash sometimes. But to open and close the disk tray, fix it. Okay, should start in 3, 2, 1, go. Do you want to explain the game a bit, Jeremy?
Sure. So basically, this category is formerly any percent, where we want to just beat the sorceress, and there's this door to beat the sorceress that's closed and requires 100 eggs to open. And there is a skip for it, but that skip kind of separates into a different category. And so this is the intermediate category, 100 egg, where we collect 100 eggs and then open the door and then beat the sorceress. And so there are 146, I think, eggs collectible before you go into the sorceress fight. So of those 146, we pick 100 of the fastest ones and collect them. To progress through the homeworlds, there are Sunrise
Here we go.
Spring, Midday Gardens, Evening Lake, and Midnight Mountain. To progress through them, we need the end of level eggs at the very least, and then the boss. We need that defeated. So that's 19 of our eggs chosen for us. So what WedC just did, it's called a dead body proxy, and basically there are certain objects in the game, certain hitboxes, that allow you to charge through them, but not to glide through them. And relatedly, there's in your charge jump, if you press X while still holding square, you get a 1-frame glide, and on the next frame you continue your charge. And so if you charge jump into one of those hitboxes, one of the hitboxes that you can charge through but not glide through, and then press X and still hold square, then for 1 frame you will glide, and during that frame the game will say get out. Basically, it will move you away from the hitbox, and since you begin charging on the next frame afterward, you preserve the momentum as a vector. And so if you time things well and position things well, you get lots of height. And that was a good Sunny Villa.
Yeah, it was decent. Would have been a lot better if I didn't have the death abuse.
Mm.
I had to show off the newer route for the level though.
Yeah. Recently, WedC found that you can manipulate an enemy by taking kind of a small detour, and it gives you a proxy opportunity a lot quicker, and so it saves time.
The common theme that you'll see with this game is that portal spaces tend to bleed far away from the actual entryway that you want to go to. So every once in a while you'll see me enter someplace from an unconventional spot, fairly close to where a portal is, but not exactly where it actually is. That was a good flame right there. Sunseed's egg is pretty simple. Follow the Sunseed along a path and re-energize it with flame as it gets tired. They'll be entering a bell tower side area where I have to shoot a lot of things that we tend to just call ghastlies because, well, obvious reason.
And when he finishes the area, notice that he'll jump before he pauses. And that's because when you exit an area portal, your momentum is preserved slightly. And so if you jump before you pause, your momentum is going up, and so you get a glide sooner coming out of the area portal. It allows what he's going to do to be possible.
Throughout that bell tower section, there's also like pseudo manipulation for that thief there, so I could grab him immediately after the egg. The manipulations, like, I say pseudo manipulation because, I mean, all it really requires you to do is hit all the ghastlies and then make sure you don't go too far after hitting the last one.
Mhm.
Of course.
Alright, so coming out of Cloud Spires, he's gonna get an out of bounds that looks pretty cool, but then he's gonna get something that looks very strange. And basically, to explain it, swim in this game, the swim, I guess water rather, there's not really physical water. There's a trigger and a container. And any level that has the trigger, because some levels just have water that's skimmable, it doesn't have any swimming water. But in Sunrise Spring Home, you have that area toward the end of the homeworld where you can swim underwater. And so, in any areas like that, all of the planes of water have the swim trigger still attached. You're just not supposed to be able to access it. But if you go out of bounds and charge the side or head bash through, then you can collect the swim trigger without having to be confined to a container. And since there's nothing to trigger you out of swim, you can swim wherever you want. We call it swim in air. Very useful.
Yeah, you'll see me do that a few more times in the run.
And going into Sheila usually would require him to spend 300 gems and watch a cutscene. But conveniently, every portal, every level portal that's locked is stored very predictably underneath where it would be if it were unlocked, and all the portals are still fully active. So if you touch them, you go in. So, I mean, in this run, usually we'd have the egg requirements anyway, but it's very useful for the gem requirements of the side character levels, because you don't have to have a gem run.
This is like the first kind of RNG portion of the run. Mostly related to enemy spawns and like what they decide to do in the level. You can lose like 6, 8 seconds just from enemies not being in good positions.
And because the goats are pretty slow, Wed skipped the middle egg, and he'll go back to it after the final egg, just because the goats are slow enough that it's slightly faster to do this. So it's not him forgetting an egg, it is just the faster route.
Next level, I have a proxy that I have to get. Because otherwise, I need 300 gems to enter an area, and you guys have been keeping track. I don't really have 300 gems, and it hasn't been looking like I've been trying to get 300 gems.
Yeah, fortunately, you have 2 chances with this proxy. You don't. I mean, you technically save time if you miss it the first time. If you have very good movement afterward, just a little bit of time. There's a egg death abuse that can be done. This proxy is a little bit different than the one in Sunny Villa. It's an animation proxy. So the principles of momentum conservation, nice, got it first try. The principles of momentum conservation work the same way, but instead of being pushed from the inside of an object, you're being pushed by the outside of an object. So just change the preposition, keep all the other explanations the same, and you have the explanation correct.
Now we're going to enter another portal that leads slightly outward from its original position. This is Sergeant Bird. He's a penguin. He can fly. You won't really see him for too long right now, because all I'm doing is grabbing this egg right here and leaving. It's a very quick egg to grab. Very...
Yeah.
We can discuss a bit more about Sergeant Bird later.
Yeah, he probably has the most, at least, oh, I say most just because I'm used to 90%. I guess he has the second most interesting movement stuff. Agent 9 will be a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, this last egg that WedC getting, if he had missed Spore Proxy, would have gone through the level and gotten to that egg, death abuse on that egg, meaning that he would jump into the egg trigger, start collecting it, and then jump off the edge. And it would give him the egg, but not the save point. So he'd get a second try at war without losing any time. It's a nice backup.
Yeah, as stated before, the backup actually like saves time, but at the same time, the movement to get to the egg, doing it optimally to save time, is not that easy because there's a lot, like in particular, the stairs at the beginning can make it kind of a pain. This is, I believe, the longest level in the round.
Could be. No,
I'm pretty sure there isn't another one that's longer than 4 minutes. So.
Yeah, I think you're right.
You can explain that if you want. That amazing thing happened.
Oh, yeah. So, in Spyro 2, if you're familiar with the speedrun at all, there are double jumps, and those were very useful. But also, when they took out double jumps, they added this mechanic called the stutter jump, and it means what its effect is that you, if you jump on the very last frame that you can jump, you get kind of a half jump, and so we obviously don't want that in any case. Like it's negative, it's bad, and so that's what happened there. He got his jump cut. So in Sheila, he's gonna go out of bounds in the side area and jump over the hill and then come over. It opens, it creates an opportunity to crash the game, putting the timer on, taking the timer off. But if you have a good cannon route, do the correct cannons. And also pay a little bit of attention to collecting some of the 5 gems. It seems like just going through the challenge a little bit more slowly, you avoid the crash most of the time. So WedC did not get it. But that was a problem in like 2014.
Yeah, originally we would end on a front cannon and the game would crash. I'm gonna try to go for something kind of dumb here. Nope, I get it. If I got that proxy, it would have saved maybe like a second or two.
Yeah. It's one of those ones where like the penalty for missing it isn't really that much, and so going forward isn't problematic. There's no route committal.
Yeah. I was afraid that I was about to hit that ammo box. That would have not been good. I'm feeling like just going for a bunch of things. I mean, I'm in a marathon setting, might as well show off things.
Yeah, definitely. And it's very good actually that he's on green sparks because you won't really get an opportunity to fill up before Buzz, and so it's kind of risky to go into Buzz on 0 sparks because then just one mistake means you die. With green sparks, one mistake could still mean he dies, but it would have to be a very specific mistake. So it's just a bad situation to be in.
It's always a very painful mistake to watch as well.
Yeah.
Because it involves getting knocked back by a fire ring directly into lava, so you immediately take 2 hits of damage.
Buzz is a very interesting boss, probably the most manipulable boss. Can completely break him in two ways. First, he's programmed once he goes into the lava to come out and do this buzzsaw attack where he rolls around the arena trying to smush you. And if you stand near where he comes out of the lava and close to the edge of the arena, then he's programmed not to go off by himself, and so he'll just stop his buzzsaw attack prematurely. And so you can create vulnerability earlier like that because you don't have to wait out his long attack.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah. Weird.
Beyond that, after the second hit, he develops this firewall of defense, and normally you would have to wait that out before you could attack him because it would just hurt you to charge into it. It wouldn't hurt him. But if you turn the camera away from it, then the firewall never spawns, and so he's vulnerable just as early as you want him to be vulnerable.
A common thing with this game is, like, if it's not on screen, it's not happening. So, we're abusing that kind of mechanic. Once again, subtle manipulation to make it so that you spawn nearest to the balloon. Next we are coming up to a kind of finicky trick. Not too bad once you get like a really good understanding of it, but it can still be annoying at times.
Yeah, it's another swim and air. This one, from the surface of the water, it's based instead on just going out of bounds and charging a two-dimensional plane of water. It's based on Spyro's swimming animation, pulling him a little bit out of the water. So we kind of edge our way to the bridge and flop in and out of bounds. And then if we time our charge correctly, then we charge just out of bounds, we clip out, and are not contained. Nice. Pretty good one. Also worth mentioning, if it's not obvious already, a lot of times when it looks like WedC's gonna hit a wall or something, he just goes through it. They're just not there. They're visually programmed in, but there's no collision to those walls. If the developers didn't think you would get to that wall, then they would just not put it in. And so lots of out of bounds are possible there. And small optimization WedC just did is while the egg was bouncing for the end of the pot egg, he sniped at the target for opening enchanted towers, and then charged into the trigger for the egg of the pot challenge. And so both of those things happened at once. He collected the egg while the cutscene was playing for enchanted. So for Sergeant Bird movement, if you hold both strafe buttons, L1 and R1, you get strafe speed, which is faster than normal flapping speed. You get strafe speed, but you can direct it with the directionals. And so you can move a lot more quickly and efficiently through the level. There are lots of checkpoints in Sergeant Bird, some of them necessary, some of them not. Getting extra checkpoints, as long as you do them efficiently, can move the bird through the level more quickly. So that's why some of the enemies, especially in the beginning that WedC got, while they're not strictly necessary to finish the level, they save maybe a half second each. The hummingbird just gets to the room faster. It's also why he kills that last enemy in Sergeant Bird, but not really anything else in the final room. That's the only one that is actually required to finish the level in that final room. You don't need the two that precede it. And a small optimization again that he did is he stood in front of the teleport before he received it. Something that was found by Tuval last December, I think. Just if you stand in front of teleports, you start the text a little bit quicker, so you save between a fourth and a third of a second. Good thief. Thieves in this game, they're kind of stupid. You can trick them very easily, and so you'll see a lot of very quick thieves where before you may remember that the thieves are very frustrating, take a while to actually hit. They're very easy to trick, and when you trick them, they kind of hesitate and move back and forth between one point, so you can get a very early hit on them. Another dead body proxy in Spooky Swamp changes the route a little bit, just the order of eggs, saves a few seconds. And the best glitch in the game, so.
Yeah.
The Thelonious glitch.
Best glitch that doesn't lose time.
Yeah.
I'll probably do the one that does lose time.
Oh, I look forward to that. See, a lot of these portals do have requirements, but WED has just already fulfilled them. Like Spooky Swamp is 25 eggs, Bamboo Terrace is 30 eggs, WED already has that, so you can just go straight in.
I mean, I think it was estimated that Thelonious glitch actually does save a bit of time just because the camera's already set in the right spot.
Yeah, it can, and when you fall off the egg, you can get put into a good place or a bad place. It can very slightly move you a few pixels. Okay, so last type of proxy, squeeze proxy, it's what's being done. Probably the most obvious explanation is just like if you condense Spyro enough, then Spyro will get thrown to an area with less pressure and just pressures hitbox enough. It's very similar. The analogy that's used is if you have a wet bar of soap and you squeeze it between your hands, then it's gonna seek out an area with less pressure, kind of careen off somewhere, depending on where you squeeze it. It's very similar to that. Okay, and then this glitch, this egg that he's getting under this broken bridge, it's actually the thief egg. The thief egg of the thief that he usually spawns after completing the level. It's just stored under the bridge and it's still fully active. And so as long as we're in a stable state, meaning either standing ground state or swim state, as long as we're in a stable state, we can go down and collect it, and the thief never even spawns. It's faster. And cool. I think it's pretty unique. I haven't seen really any other.
There was a time that we were trying to find one in Lost Fleet as well with the end level egg, but it actually doesn't exist until it pops out of the chest at the end of the level.
Unfortunately.
This level is pretty simple. Ended Towers doesn't really have any special tricks to it or anything.
Yeah.
Though I will say preemptive RIP headphone users, because and also probably turn down volume because the statue is very loud when it explodes.
Yeah, it's a good warning to give. For some reason, it's just very unbalanced. There's no audio clip in the game that's louder than this, and it's just not even close. Everything's pretty balanced in the game, but that one's just loud.
Also, losing a third of a second there just to have the camera go nuts was totally worth it. I used to actually do a thing there every time that manipulated one of the explosion sounds to go over when the end level guy says oops. Instead of hearing oops, you just hear a really loud explosion. Just completely masks it.
So IC Peak is a good example of lots of kind of precise platforming and gliding and charge jumping. So the first skip he's going to do is the IC Peak skip, and basically he's just jumping from the beginning to the end. And a lot of the level constructing, the architecture was designed so that things were barely out of reach. And so the developers had this in mind when they created this gap. But the developers weren't good at jumping, and so they weren't good at judging what was out of reach and what wasn't. So with precise jumps, a lot of times you can still break the level, just without even using glitches, just using proper mechanics. For this thief area, really cool area, you get the red thief early, and then getting the red thief early confuses the yellow thief. So if you press a camera button, then on the frame that you stop pressing the camera button, the yellow thief teleports back to its initial position. And so you can just go over there, teleport the yellow thief back, and flame. Easy kill.
Now we're coming to the part of the level that I actually find most difficult, which is the last series of eggs, which is more precise platforming. Not as costly as failing Icy Peak Jump, but like still can be quite annoying. That jump is deceptive. Very deceptive, actually. And then, wow, I got that first try. Cool.
Nice.
I'll have to retime this segment, because this is probably a best.
Nice. It's a good level to best in a marathon. It's a hard level.
I would argue that it's one of the hardest.
Yeah, probably. Definitely top 5. So going into Spike, it's the most obvious instance in the game of the adaptive difficulty. In 100 egg and 117%, the max completion category, you see Spike like WedC's doing right now, and any percent you see a different spike. And what that is the game adjusting the difficulty based on how it thinks you're doing. And so this spike's actually much more difficult than an any percent. You have 3 extra hits you have to deal, 1 per phase. 1 extra per phase. Spike is more aggressive, he shoots more per phase, and no fodder ever drops if you're on low sparks. And so if you get to low sparks, you just kind of have to dodge and hope that you're fine, hope that no flame pillars mess you up, because the flame pillars spawn randomly. If you run into one, you take damage. Nice quad rocks. So Spike after 3 hits is supposed to clear whatever weapon is there.
Could have set that up to still have triple fire.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't like look around enough.
Yeah, so he clears the phase, but there's a period before he clears the phase where you can go hit a rock or go pick up a power up. And so you can get an early power up like that and speed up the fight a bit.
Failed the glide there.
Mm.
Yeah.
And the glide itself is pretty interesting. On version 1.1, that doesn't exist. You get spawned in a different place in the middle of the arena, and you don't have a chance to jump away and glide. Version 1.0, you get spawned on the side, and depending on where you're spawned, you can jump and glide. Also, there's a cutscene on 1.1, Spike is born. Entering Spike. On 1.0, it's not there.
Yeah, Spike is never born in 1.0, he's just kind of there.
Yeah. So since we don't have to go through that birthing process, we save time.
Better for you. Yeah, didn't think so.
Yeah, so what he tried was one of the hardest tricks in the game. It's a dead body proxy from the Firefly. Very small hitbox, so it's precise and it's also kind of elusive. You can manipulate its pattern a little bit, but it's not completely manipulable, and it's very precise. You need a pretty high one. Saves about 25 seconds, I think, in this category.
Yep. Yeah. Small optimization here off the bridge. Kinda cool, not that difficult. There's a strat that I could be going for in here, but I am really bad at it, so I'm not doing it.
Yeah, it's basically a damage boost you have to set up. It's actually pretty easy on the PAL version, the European version. On NTSC, it's pretty precise and you have to set it up a little bit. But you would get the guy to throw a bomb at you, and then jump into the bomb and damage boost back into the end of area. Collect the egg a little bit earlier.
It saves like 6 seconds, so if you fail it, it loses quite a bit.
Yeah. So very soon, Agent 9.
I'm going to press the start button once while I enter here, and I'll do it if I get it. Okay. Amazing.
Did you get it?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're death abusing then?
Yep.
Okay, so this is a different glitch. We won't see Agent 9's movement. This is called Agent Spyro. And you can pause. There's one frame where you can pause during the text. And if you do it, you interrupt Agent 9. You can jump away from him like Wed did. If you then death abuse, then you load into the level as Spyro, as you're seeing right now. And the level's not made for Spyro. It's very easy with Spyro, and not that slow. It's a little bit slower than great zigzagging.
I have good enough zigzagging that I actually save time doing Agent 9, but I thought this would be good to show off during the
This is a
marathon.
really interesting trick. It's really the only place where this type of trick is useful. Every side area you can escape the text, but a lot of them you can't death abuse. So there are only 3 where you can death abuse. One of them is useless. One of them crashes the game after a certain period of time. So this one's interesting. You see it a lot in 117. People will go for it and very much hope for it because it's difficult to do 117 at all quickly with Agent 9.
So yeah, as I said, I actually paused once there, meaning that I actually timed a frame perfect pause input with like no visual or audio cues. Within the last 7 times that I've gone for that, I've gotten it 6 times.
Yeah,
is
I've heard you talk about it.
ridiculous.
It is
I've
just
been
ridiculous.
getting it just over and over, and I don't understand why. I have a 30th of a second to press the start button, and I've been doing it consistent. Also, I forgot to go for a strat because I was talking.
Yeah, there's a damage boost you can earn, an enemy boost. You don't take damage, but an enemy boost you can do. That you death abuse and break the escort mission. Saves some time, 5 to 7 seconds.
You have to see the amazing physics that cannons can cause there. Cannons are amusing, I guess.
So the reason he's taking damage, it's all intentional, is that at the end of the level, he wants to do something called zombie mode. And if you consider Sparks' value as a number, gold being 3, blue 2, green 1, and no sparks 0, then when Spyro takes damage with 0 sparks, his sparks value gets sent temporarily to -1. And the game then interprets -1 to mean we should kill Spyro. Spyro's dead. But there is this frame of interpretation, and if you pause during that frame, you put Spyro in this limbo state while you're in the menu. And while in the menu, you have access to exit level, exit area. And so if you use that access, you exit the level and you get put in this, like I said, limbo state, where the game has recognized that Spyro has taken damage that should kill him, but it has not actually gotten the opportunity to kill Spyro. And so the benefit of this is it preserves your state. And so you, in Evening Lake, spawn underwater when you're coming out of Lost Fleet. And so you just preserve swim state. It can't transition you. And so it gives you an instant swim in air, and it's good for collection of eggs in Evening Lake.
Take a nice snapshot of that amazing camera angle there.
It is a good camera angle. And the death abuse right here is just because there aren't only positive effects from zombie. It can softlock the game in Charmed Ridge, and it can be problematic in other levels. And so you just death abuse to prevent that from happening. There are cutscenes that clear zombie, but you can also just die, and that clears zombie too.
I don't actually know who found zombie.
Yeah, zombie was one of those ones that was found on accident a long time ago, like more than 10 years ago. It's one of those things where somebody was about to die, paused on accident on the right frame, and exited the level. It was like, what is happening? Why doesn't water exist when they were... Because I think the earliest video I've seen happens in Molten Crater. So they come out of Molten Crater, and like I said, they can't transition state, so the water isn't there. They just fall into this inescapable container. Alright, so 2 things in Bentley that are kind of interesting. One of them fast, one of them Wed will do.
Yeah. Good description.
The fast one is that the seals are manipulable, kind of like we mentioned in Buzz. If something's not on screen, it won't happen. The seals, if they're off screen, won't continue through their cycles. They won't throw the snowballs, and so you can off screen them at specific times and get better, more efficient hits, more efficient club
Ah,
spins.
press square there. Like, oh my god. Can you not, please? I made that look harder than it actually is. Yeah, I'm going to hopefully be able to do this glitch. Yeah, okay. Recently, I've been like landing on the seam on the side of the bridge, which caused you to immediately get pushed up.
Mm.
Yeah, that was world record proxy.
It is the best trick in the game, someone Wed referred to earlier. Doesn't save time, loses about 5 to 6 seconds, but it's so cool, you just have to do it. Obviously, like in real attempts, we wouldn't go for that, although
Yeah.
um, it'd be cool to have it in a record, just for the novelty, but yeah, it's slower. But there's not that much interesting stuff you can do with Bentley, so we take what we can get.
Pretty much. Got another proxy coming up here. This is known for being easiest proxy, but I'm also notorious for failing it.
Yeah,
So,
and the
okay.
easiest proxy also. We haven't seen it, fortunately. There's this thing called proxy bonking, and easiest proxy also means easiest proxy to proxy bonk on. One of the easiest, at least. The easier it is, basically what proxy bonking is you get a good enough proxy, and then turn it a little bit, and you have the correct velocity to, when you turn, bonk into your own hitbox. There's this predictive bonking mechanic. And so you get this great proxy, and you're very happy about it. You're like, I made the skip, this run's good. And then you bonk on nothing other than yourself, which, I mean, it's just a terrible mechanic. And so that happens sometimes. It's pretty rare, but
My
not rare enough.
my PB in this category actually gets a proxy bonk on Mammoth. Might have been able to be a 53 if I didn't fucking do that.
Yeah. So for the boxing, he's cornering the Yeti and then jabbing. The jabbing is good because you can do it quickly, but also when the red Yeti puts his gloves up and then you still manage to hit him, the game reads it as a hook, which gives double damage. And so the jabs can, in certain instances, give double damage and still be very efficient. And so it's just a very good strategy for beating the Yeti efficiently.
Bentley was also happy for getting the egg, so he's dancing.
Thanks for helping out.
Alright, so the egg left in Evening Leg Home is the one inside the whale. Appropriately named. The thing to notice is that when he comes out of the whale, the camera's a little strange and he gets exactly where he wants to go pretty efficiently. If you hold X while you're coming out of the whale, you get movement more quickly. You get free movement more quickly. Usually it would kind of put you into the movement it thinks you should have, which is inefficient. So he holds X and just gets a better angle to the charmed portal. 3 proxies in charmed, 3 dead body proxies. 2 of them save a little bit of time. One of them at the very end saves quite a bit of time, about 12 seconds. And so missing the first 2 isn't that bad. It's not damaging, but they're still good to get.
I don't know if I should really go for the last one on 0 lives.
That's a good point. Yeah.
The last one is sketchy, to say the least.
Yeah, for the last one, if you miss it and don't really get any proxy that can allow you to recover, you go straight into the acid, the goop, whatever it is, and it's an instant death. So on 0 lives, that would be a game over.
I don't know. I think I'll still be underestimate if I go for it. But like, good. Also, I go for 4 proxies, but that one was... The third one that I go for is a bit of a meme.
Oh, yeah.
Optimally, I like go for a horizontal, like a speed proxy there. Just launch myself into this side area.
So you'll see this challenge is pretty broken. If on the mushroom you jump on it, and then hold X and square at specific times, and then release square while still holding X, you get multiple jumps on the mushroom. It's called a boosted jump. It gives you a lot more height, so you can skip large sections of the puzzle. In the first puzzle, we skip 1 section, and the second puzzle, like 2 sections. To get onto the mushrooms as well, it's using something called a spin jump, where if you face away from a ledge that normally you wouldn't be able to get onto, and give it like an obtuse angle, and then spin into the obtuse angle while you're jumping, you can edge your way onto the surface, even if you're not supposed to be able to get onto it. So with the mushrooms, you're supposed to plant a flower before you get onto the mushroom. It was a close one.
Yeah.
Supposed to plant a flower before you get onto the mushroom, but spin jumping allows you just to skip that section as well, just a very small section skip. Nice. Did save time.
It did. But you didn't see Spyro moving towards the end at all.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this boss sucks. It's random, completely random. It's very easy. The problem with this boss is that it's very easy. Like, if it were difficult and random, it wouldn't be such a problem. Like, it would be a problem for runs, but it wouldn't be so frustrating. It's difficult to lose time on Scorch based on your own execution, but there's RNG that is extremely influential in the fight. The RNG that you'll see that's most influential is the rocket bend it gives you. Green rockets do the same amount of damage as red rockets, but you get 50 red rockets and only 1 green rocket. The benefit of green rockets, the alleged benefit, is that they home in a little bit. But if you can aim at all, the home in doesn't help. So red is much better. Wed got green first. It's typical. It's a 50-50, but it doesn't seem like that way. And he's just not good. The subtle RNG, I mean, I guess not subtle if I've seen the fight a few times. Scorch's attacks are also random. He can throw these energy balls, and those are very fast. He becomes vulnerable more quickly. Or he can throw enemies, he can throw crabs, he can throw rodents, he can throw this fireball that runs around, he can throw buzz. And he can throw variable amounts of the crabs and rodents. And so you preferably would get just the fireballs that I mentioned, just the energy attack. The eggs are always slower. The fireball, like the flaming fireball, spins around, runs around. That one's the slowest one. They're all pretty easy to kill though, so there's not really any danger of dying.
I mean, the record for most greens is by Jake and Take. He got 14.
Yeah. My best is 12.
Best, I think, is 10.
Okay, well, all things considered, that was a relatively painless fight. Like, 1 green rocket isn't that bad. Like I said, it's a 50-50, so you can't really be mad when you just get the wrong side of the 50-50. You can start getting mad when you start getting bad 50-50s over and over again.
You know, I'm happy when I can manage to hit all of my green rockets, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they home in quotes. They like to home into just to the side of...
Yeah. Okay, so an interesting swim in air in this level, kind of similar to bridge swim, in Midday Gardens, if you remember that one, where it's on the surface of the water. You do something that gets you pushed out of the water while you're swimming. So Wed's gonna push himself against a crystal while it's bobbing up and down, and then he'll charge at a specific time. Get a swim in it. And after these 2 eggs that he's getting very quickly, he's gonna approach a thief from the wrong side, and the thief doesn't recognize it's from the wrong side. It just recognizes Spyro is getting close, so I better move. So it moves right into you, and you can kill it immediately. Like I said, thieves aren't very smart in this game.
Here, you can.
Good camera. Ah. Bad attempt.
So what Wed just went for is slide, skip, I guess.
Yeah.
Correct nomenclature, right? So there are 3 slide skips in this area. The one that he's doing right now, another one that's difficult and doesn't save much time over what he's doing right now, and there's the one he went for. The one he went for, if you got a large enough proxy, you could glide over, and kind of like how swimming is just a trigger, sliding is a trigger as well. And if you go past the trigger, then the slide doesn't actually slide you. So if you proxy over the trigger, you can just glide over or charge jump over, however you want to do it.
That proxy saves like seconds or so. And get it.
Then another quick thief right here. Yeah. Jump to the right. Thief runs away from you, and then when you turn back, he runs towards you. Flame, and he's gone.
Actually, now we get to probably one of the easiest proxies in the game.
Yeah, this one's a squeeze proxy between the scorpion's tail, the animation of it hitting, trying to hit you, and the ground. And if you just go to the left side of the scorpion.
Oh no.
That's bad. Do you have a save file?
I have like a 117 save file. In evening.
Damn. Yeah, so this is a soft lock. The cutscene will not continue. There's no way out of it. Unfortunately. It happens, you can do it in a few places. You hit the trigger of the cutscene and then come out of the trigger, and the game starts the cutscene but doesn't finish it. And so you're just locked in. You can't
I shouldn't have pivoted. Do any percent in evening? I could. Could actually. If you guys are fine with me going like over my estimate, I'll do that.
Yeah, it wouldn't be that much over the estimate.
And then yeah, I would have enough eggs. I'd be able to just continue off where I was.
Then we get to explain any percent as well.
Yeah. Which is Jeremy's specialty.
Alright. Says it's good. Yeah, it shouldn't be that much. Because his run would have come in under estimate, and evening only takes like, what, 7 minutes? Something like that. Have to do Scorch again though, so we open ourselves up to that hell.
Spyro.
Oh. Well, I guess I'll start in here. Since I'm already in Charmed Ridge.
Oh, are you? This won't be bad at all.
No, it was 117, remember? Charmed Ridge is like at the start.
Okay.
But hey, got that.
Nice. So yeah, end of level proxy. In this category, it saves a lot of time. In the other one, that proxy would save maybe a couple seconds. In this one, it saves, I mean, depending on your backup strat, like 25 to 35. It's a lot of time.
So, we're not doing a conventional any percent route right now. We are actually just going through the levels backwards.
Yeah. Yeah, normally you would need zombie in Charmed Ridge to get into Charmed Ridge. There's a cutscene at the end of Charmed Ridge, like the one I mentioned while Wed was doing his evening in 100 Egg, that clears zombie. But normally we would proceed Charmed Ridge with Boss Fleet so that we can get zombie going into Charmed Ridge. But since we were already there, we don't need that. You gonna go for the enemy boost?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Cool, got it. Yeah, so that's the skip we mentioned also in Lost Fleet. You get an enemy boost from the enemy, we allow it to finish its path, move forward through, and we get the enemy boost. And then hit a save point at the end in Death Abuse, and that's a purposeful Death Abuse because it breaks the escort mission. It makes Crazy Ed, the NPC, teleport to the end of the level instead of having to run through the level dependent on your checkpoints. It's pretty useful. The Death Abuse is kind of inconvenient, but it still ends up saving quite a bit of time, 5 to 7 seconds. The range dependent on your sparks value, because you lose time if you're on gold sparks.
Also, yeah, we're doing very weird stuff right now. Stuff that is not optimal. Stuff that is just kind of, I don't know.
Zombie into fireworks is nice.
I wasn't going into fireworks. I was gonna go into Bentley.
Oh,
This is a great route. Look at this, amazing.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why I went over here, but we went over here, so whatever. This is the speed run, boys. Also, didn't have to worry about honey speed. Already open.
Right.
117 file. Oh man, the incredibleness of any percent run that does a 117 level order. Absolutely incredible.
Alright, so in Bentley, there's actually nothing that we didn't explain in any percent.
Yep. So, just going to see me, you know, hopefully manipulate the seals correctly this time, and yeah, that was much
actually,
better.
There is one thing. We didn't explain the gong skip, the early gong for the second gong.
Can I still PP? I don't think so.
Usually you need the NPC Bartholomew. You need him to throw snowballs at you so you can spin them and hit the gongs. So for the second gong, we just hit the gong early because it's in a position where we can. It saves time too. It's a small optimization, but it's pretty nice. So for any percent, like a lot of the levels wouldn't be open. Like Charmed Ridge requires 58 eggs to have open, so that one wouldn't be open. Fireworks is at 50. I'm not sure what that one is. I think it's around 50.
Yeah.
So it's somewhere in the area, the ballpark of 50. Again, you don't have that. When you complete an 80% run, you have 19 eggs. So there are more skips that are necessary for getting into levels in 90%. But usually those skips are pretty simple because the out of bounds are very easy. Proxies matter a lot more because we don't have to do anything, any intermediate egg collections. And so Firefly in this category, where in 100 egg it saves 25 seconds, in this category it saves 35 seconds. So it matters quite a lot more. The Frozen Author's proxy as well saves more time in this category. Oh, nice. So we can't actually speed Greta up, unfortunately. So this platforming doesn't save time, but it's a lot cooler. It's more interesting. We have to wait for Greta anyway without Firefly. It's part of the reason Firefly saves so much, is because we need Greta, we need this cutscene, we need to use the cannon.
It looks like this. Hey.
So it's just a much longer process of completing the level. The good thing about Firefly is that it teleports Greta to the end if she's not there. And so, unlike Boss Fleet, where you have to Death Abuse to teleport Crazy Ed, in this level you just have to touch the stair and it triggers her to start speaking to you.
Crash.
Mhm.
I think I also don't have FDS on anymore, which, or no, I have to since I just crashed.
Crashed, yeah.
I see. I was gonna say I didn't think I did because like I felt so long. Yeah.
Okay, so Frozen. Mammoth matters a lot more. There are 2 routes you can take with Mammoth for any percent. Large proxy means you save like 4 or 5 seconds. Other route, I mean, it's not bad. As long as you get a skip, it's good. So what's important isn't necessarily getting the large skip, it's just getting a proxy.
Enough. Right, well, as I get into midnight, I'm just gonna go straight to Desert Ruins.
Alright, Scorch again. We have chance for retribution. Getting it first try reds this time.
First. Trying to think of how many eggs I usually have here. I think I have more than the number of eggs you usually have in 100 egg, which should work fine.
I think you usually have like 75, so you should have plenty. I don't know egg counts very well in 100 egg, but I think it's
yeah.
around
I'm
there.
just thinking of egg count out of Crystal Islands.
Yeah, you should have enough.
This might be.
Oh, the reason you thought it's so long is because your memory card's in.
Yeah.
So it's
Well, my
FPS.
memory card is not actually in right now. I just pulled it out like immediately.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, to explain that a little bit, so FDS is faster than SDS, but if you have your memory card inserted, then the autosave actually takes time, loses time on every single loading screen. Only a little bit of time in the normal loading screens, but for the cutscenes it loses seconds per time, for instance. And so cutscenes add up quickly. Is that first try reds?
Second.
Second. Alright.
The better. Better than fourth. Yeah, okay. I get the bonk on Scorch though. Good camera angle right here.
Nice. One thing, like a little quirk that you can do, if you have the rockets to do it. If you have a green rocket and then a red rocket, or it doesn't matter order because red rockets take precedence over green rockets, and you finish the fight by shooting a green rocket that doesn't do anything, then the egg actually hatches differently. It has these green fragments, these trails, based on the green rocket. Alright, here we are again, so...
Alright, we have returned to the speed run. That was only, you know, like an 8-minute. Got it.
Yeah. It's fine.
Okay.
It does happen. Like, it's
Yeah.
just one of those things that it sucks that it can happen because WED was trying to be optimal. The pivot was on purpose because it's faster to pivot. But if you just pivot a little bit incorrectly, then you can have that happen. Usually it doesn't happen. I wouldn't blame him at all for going for it because so often you go for it, it doesn't do anything wrong.
That's slightly wrong. Oh. What the heck? Why are you being inconsistent now?
So WedC's like pretty much the only person that goes for this. This is a pretty cool trick. It's a helmet proxy. It's finicky. I guess that's the word he used for bridge swim. It's finicky as well. WedC's very good at it.
Okay.
Compared to like the rest of the
I was perma-flopped as well, so I couldn't do anything. I was just stuck there. Yeah, okay. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to happen right there.
Okay. So, yeah, there are like 3 strats you can do, 3 skips. There's like a proxy and then damage boost you can do, or just the proxy if you get a good enough one. This is what WedC wanted. It's fastest.
Hi, Spyro.
But like I said, it's finicky. You even got the forward proxy going back in. Yeah, it's a cool strat. So the way you know if WedC's doing this efficiently is if he gets to the fire breather guy, the one that makes the metal red, he gets to it without really having to jump at all. That means he did that part efficiently. It's cycle based, and so it's consistent. Yeah, he got there early even.
Yeah, I got there early.
Yeah, so WedC was faster than
Optimal.
yeah, which is actually pretty hard to do. I don't think I've ever done that.
I get there sometimes. Fast.
I need to look at your achievement limit then.
Oh man, need to look at me moving right for 45 seconds.
Alright, kind of a strange fact about this egg. There are a couple eggs like it. It's actually not collectible unless you kill the enemy in front of it. And so, I mean, it's fortunate that the enemy is just right in the way. There's no detour. That's usually the case for those requirements. There are a few like that in the game. I think 1, maybe 2 like that in Cloud Spires. Probably.
I'm actually gonna have 101 eggs.
Nice.
Because I'm gonna go through the route and do the rest of the eggs in the actual route.
Yeah.
Why would I skip some? I'm showcasing a speedrun. Throughout the entire thing. The jump is stupidly precise.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so that was formerly called Cast Door. We call it Quick Door now because people can do it. But it is very difficult. You have to charge, jump, flop, land, and then jump before you get too low on the door. It's precise. You have to direct it properly. Saves quite a bit of time too. Do you know how much it saves?
Whatever amount of time the door down. I want to say it's like 8.
That sounds right to me. Yeah, it's definitely more than 5 less than 10.
I should
I
have
almost
bonked.
got to see the Earth Shaper kill himself. He threw the snowball down, and it was direct at Spyro, but Spyro was kind of past it and he missed it, so it bounced back up, and it can actually hit the same guy who threw it. You've seen the 117 task that Nitroff did a couple years ago. Uses that strat to kill a couple Earth Shapers. Alright, so tanks 1 and 2. Tanks 2 is kind of notorious for being a pretty difficult challenge. A while ago, people were like unsure whether, like, I don't know, people in like 2014 didn't really want to put it in the route. It was one of those things that like top players put it in the route, other players did not. It's a difficult challenge, but it's fast. So strafing on the tank is faster. You have 2 shots, you have a straight shot, and you have a lob shot. I think the strats WedC uses don't really use the lob shot that much.
No. I go a lot for like predicting where enemies are going to be.
Yeah. And the direction enemies go, the enemy strafe, like you see around the candle jars, that's random, and so you do truly have to predict it. I think people will generally just like shoot one way, then shoot the other way. It's gonna go one way because he just doesn't stay behind, so we'll get the shot. Okay. So one more level, Dino Mines. Has a pretty cool route. There's, I mean, I'll let it speak for itself at first, and I'll explain it, I guess. It's an interesting one, don't want to spoil it. Okay. So if you have a very good angle, you can get this window jump, a charge jump from the window.
Well,
Hover onto the barrel, go out of bounds, and come down onto this cart that you're not supposed to be on top of.
jump and jump.
And then do that proxy. That's a pretty good one, very quick and fast, or quick and fast, or
Yeah.
I meant to say quick and tall. The reason he has to go behind the jail cell is because if you go into the jail cell without breaking the wall, then Sheriff Wyatt, I think that's his name, he will just give you the text like he's still trapped. You won't recognize that he's not trapped, which I guess is pretty smart because he is still trapped. Mayor Leo, Mayor Leo and Sunnyville is still trapped. He'll say thank you.
The real problem with it, though, is that the wall is actually only breakable on one side.
Yeah. Yeah, so he goes behind, breaks it, and then gets to the end of the level.
That was some.
So what the proxy skips is basically this really long section where you have to go through the room where Wyatt is first, Sheriff Wyatt is first displayed. Go through that room, then there's a small area, and then there's a long bridge, another room with like a chimney and one of those Gatling gun Rhinox or dinos.
It skips like 12 seconds of.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is normally the last egg that you get. This is normally the 100th egg, but because I had to load a file, it's my 100th.
You did it!
So the Sorcerer's fight, like I criticized the Scorch fight for being a very bad combination of low execution and high RNG. I actually really like the Sorcerer's fight. It has RNG and that's kind of annoying, but it's execution based RNG a lot of the time, so you can lose about 30 seconds without doing anything wrong. But a lot of times, if you do things right, you won't lose that much time. So the way the fight's supposed to go, she has 12 health. 2 of them are supposed to go with the cannons, 4 of them with the tanks, and 6 of them with the UFOs, so 3 vehicles. You can get extra drops that help a lot. The best drop to get is the extra tank, because tanks are very efficient.
RNG already isn't that great.
And you can also get extra hits with each vehicle. So I said that the phase ends for cannons on the second hit. If a shot is still in the air, like it will force you off the vehicle, but it won't despawn the shots that you've already shot. And so if a shot's in the air after you hit twice and that one hits after her iframes, then you can still get that third hit.
Got tank skip.
Nice, yeah, there's a quick tank too. Quick tank skip. So that's one of the extra drops I mentioned. Now he can theoretically finish the phase on this cannon. Which, yeah, that's good so far. So you skip the tank phase entirely. You can still get a tank drop, and that's the fastest one. We call it God Sorceress. But it's dependent on the tank spawns and when you finish the phase. So he's not getting that, but skipping the tank phase is really quick. It's a pretty good segment.
And we're done.
Nice.
That was a really good UFO phase.
Yeah, that was a good sorceress in general. It was solid. Cool.
Yeah, sorry about, soft locking. About going a bunch over estimate.
Yeah, I'm glad you had the file at least, because
Yeah.
it wasn't that bad. Honestly, you were gonna come below estimate, and it wasn't a huge detour. Like, I mean, it was a huge detour, but not.
Yeah.
It was worth it to finish.
I probably was on pace.